What I failed to mention for the 12 volt LD blankets and the LD 240 volt blanket is that there's one particular wording that I missed out on, and a couple people actually brought it up to me. Phil, are you aware a throw blanket is designed to put on top of you and not underneath? So you're not supposed to lay on top of them. I've done some research and looked into it, and it's something that I think you should be aware of. In regards to the kick-ass blanket, it's not mentioned that it's a throw. In fact, if you look at the manual, the full instruction manual supplied with your LD 12 volt blanket, and up the top it's got some important safety instructions. I only use this travel heated blanket as an over blanket, so that's something to be aware of, because it appears that both the LD blankets are not designed to be laid on top. From my understanding, when it comes to electric blankets, that was something that you laid on top of the bed. I presume that's how they work. I didn't know anything about throw blankets. I didn't know what it was, a throw blanket. In fact, when I purchased these, I saw it had throw blanket written on it, and I thought, that's weird, throw blanket. Why they call it throw blanket? But now I understand where I think this one will come in its own, because it's got this 5 meter, that's right, 5 meter length of cable here. So you will be able to plug this into your forward drive, any of the spare 12 volt cigarette lighter output. I've got one on the back here that's connected through to my 330 amp hour lithium battery. This would be a perfect throw lug, like so, when I'm out camping and it's really cold, and I'll be able to just throw this over the top of me. You know, when you're camping with your mates and you're sitting outside and chatting away, then I could be sitting here like this. So get used to it, guys. Probably next time we go camping, you'll probably see me with this blanket on top of me like so. Now I can feel this is starting to heat up. That's probably how I'm going to predominantly use this one. Now, it does say in the instructions also that it is for indoor use only. So we do have to be careful on those really dewy nights. So if, for example, you get some nights that it get really cold and a lot of dew coming or low-lying clouds, and there's a lot of moisture in the air, and within no time, everything outside basically gets wet. Now, that could be a problem, okay, because, I mean, this one being 12 volt, it won't be as critical as if you're using a 240 volt. I don't think I would ever use a 240 volt outdoors unless it's a nice, clear, calm night, no dew about, and it's quite cold and it's fairly dry where I am, like the grass is dry, etc. Then there'd probably be a point for that one to come use. So for that reason, I think out of the two, I think this one here, boy, I can really feel that warming up. I think out of the two, I think this 12 volt one is the pick out of the two that's on offer from Aldi. The 240 volt one, obviously it's a throw blanket, so it's not designed for what I was initially planning on using it for. I thought that would have been perfect to place up on top of my rooftop tent. But yeah, unfortunately guys, it's not recommended to use that way. Hey, unless you use it as a blanket on top of you. And I'm going to test it. I'm going to test it that way. I'm going to give it a go. Next time I go camping, I'll bring all these blankets with me and I will test them out. I just got to wait for it to cooler weather. Now, as I mentioned, we've got a nice like 16, 17 degrees westerly breeze blowing right at me right now, and I am feeling very toasty and warm, in fact too warm under this blanket. So yeah, this it's given a good indication of how well this is actually working. And the heat is all over the blanket. It's not just in one area. The heat's right through the whole lot. So now remember, this has only got the one heat setting. So basically it's on and off. It draws around your 4.3 amps, if I remember right when we were testing it. 4.3, 4.5 amps, which is hardly nothing for my big lithium battery there that I've got. I've got the 330 amp hour battery. Now this Wednesday I've got an opportunity. Remember that I mentioned in that there was a third one I wanted to test and compare against the other 12 volt blankets that I've got here. Well, this Wednesday I may have an opportunity to get hold of this other particular 12 volt blanket to test. And if I can get the hold of that for a day or so, then what I'll do is I'll do a comparison video. I'll film this Wednesday or Thursday morning. I will film a comparison video between the three 12 volt blankets. So there'll be 3 different brands, and the other one has only just become available now, so there is stock in Australia of that one there. But I know someone who just picked one up and hasn't been out of the package yet, and he just so happens to be coming up here, I think tomorrow. If things go to plan, he's going to come up here for a visit and possibly stay overnight, and it'll give me a good chance to test out this third one that I wanted to get, to see if it's similar to this one here, the Aldi one I got here, or if it's entirely different and better than even the Kick-Ass one. Now, just remember the Kick-Ass one, I know that Steve has owned that one for a couple of years, I believe. Is it a year or 2 years that you own that one, Steve, from Saw Adventures? And he actually uses it, okay, on top of his mattress. So they lay on top of it, and he's had no problems. But I looked for a manual for the Kick-Ass one to see if it's actually if it's a throw blanket. So when I go on their website, there's no manual to find. I did a research to see what reviews there are, and surprisingly there are very few reviews. I could only find 2 videos on YouTube on the Kick-Ass 12 volt blanket. So I will film a video just dedicated to that blanket alone. But just give me a chance to use it first. I want to do at least a couple of cold camps and to test that out. And that'll probably be the one that I'm going to end up picking to try and use on top of my mattress and sleep on top of it. Because I know Steve's and Annie from Saw Adventures use theirs that way. And they do a lot of camping, guys. They go out on just about every second weekend. They go away camping for like 3 days. And generally where they go camping, it's very cold. So that blanket gets a lot of use. And I know they've been using it for the past year or 2. I cannot remember how long they've owned that one for. But even if it's 1 year, now that's a really good test. So obviously it sounds like to me it's got no issues of that being laid on top of the mattress. But in regards to the Aldi ones, yeah, just be careful with that, okay? It's not advisable to use it that way. It's advisable to use it this way here, as shown here. So, just like this. I tell you what, you wouldn't want if you want a throw blanket, you wouldn't want it much smaller than this, because it's almost just fallen off me. It could do with being a little bit wider, so it kind of wraps around you a bit more, because I'm leaning back a bit here. So if I sat upright, then I'm sure this is just going to fall right off me. So yeah, if anything, it's almost too small. So I can't imagine the kick-ass. Remember that one there, particularly in its width? It's quite a fair bit narrow, so I don't think that one, the kick-ass one, will work for me in this situation where I'm sitting outside. So after learning what I've learned in the last few days, I'm probably going to use this one for outside, and I will try the kick-ass one inside the rooftop tent. And if I find for some reason I'm not happy with the kick-ass one, like for example the 45-minute shutdown timer on it, then I will go uptown and purchase a normal electric blanket that's designed to sit on top of your mattress, like a fitted one, and use that in the rooftop tent. I reckon that would be the ideal, because frankly I've got the gear here that can do that, so I might as well use what I've got. Otherwise, if I don't use it, it's a waste of money, the way I look at it. So I've got an awesome Victron gear set up here with a 1600 watt inverter that gives me 240 volt power, and it's a very efficient inverter, probably one of the most, I'd say probably the most efficient inverter out in that class. And also I've got a, remember, a Australian made 12 volt PowerPaul Australia, built by Paul down near Melbourne, 330 amp hour of lithium capacity. 330 amp hours of lithium capacity. So I've got plenty of power on off-grid to use all these items, as long as I've got a decent means of charging it back up the next day, such as solar panels, or in some cases, depending where I go, a little generator. I've recently, well, when I say recently, last year, I've owned it for a while now. I've never really mentioned it, but I picked up a Yamaha 1000, okay, so it's a 1000 watt generator, little generator, just a tiny one. It weighs, you know, not much over 10 kilos, because I've been finding the Honda one, it's absolutely perfect. I love it, but it's a little on the heavy side. I struggled to lift it in and out of the car, even though it's only weighs just over 20 kilos. But I've been finding it's been a real struggle to get that in and out of the car. So I picked up a Yamaha 1000 and I've been testing it out in the backyard here, charging my batteries, and it's been working brilliant. Now it doesn't charge as quick as the Honda, okay, so it does take longer, but it is a very quiet generator, so I doubt you would hear it if you're camping a reasonable distance away from me. I doubt you would even notice, but it's pretty rare. I mean, in the last, I don't know, year and a half or so that I've owned a generator, I've only ever taken it with me 3 times on camps. I used it once for 5 hours over a week, and I used it another time for probably half an hour over 3 days, and I used it another time the next time after that for only about half an hour, only because some campers near me wanted to see it in action. Otherwise it would have stayed in the car. So solar panels is definitely the way to go. It depends where you're camping. Now, the noise of a generator, if it's just running for an hour or 2 per day, does not in the slightest way bother me whatsoever, because frankly, guys, there's noises everywhere. You're always going to have noise somewhere. If you're living in town, you just get used to it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if I'm going camping or if I go to a free camp, you know, I'm not going to throw out a generator and run a generator at a free camp. So there's no way I'll do that, unless I'm the only one there and I really need to. And that's another thing. If I'm camping somewhere and I'm going somewhere remote, I will take it with me. If I do just a little Yamaha one, because it's easy to pick up, it's easy to maneuver, it's very quiet. And if I've got, you know, like 3-4 days of cloudy weather, and particularly, for example, if I'm using my induction cooktop and air fryer, well then the little generator will come in very handy then as well. And having that as a backup power over the solar panels is definitely going to help keep me warm. Now, this is certainly gone up to temp right now, and I can tell you, I am really nice and toasty warm under this blanket. It feels really nice. Now, the big test is going to be when I start doing my cold winter camping, because this is relatively warm right now. I mean, this is too warm for me now. I can feel this nice breeze blowing my face. So my face is cool, but my arms and legs and body is quite warm. And in fact, I'm starting to sweat just a little bit here. So yeah, it's definitely works, and it feels very, very luxurious, very comfortable as well. So yeah, it's very interesting. This was going to be a short video, but it's turned out a lot longer than I expected. Oh, I tell you what, let me take this off right now, and I will unplug that out of the vehicle shortly. And oh, if you could feel me, my arms and legs are very warm, yet my ears and face are cold. I prefer this. I prefer the coolness than this warmth. Reminds me too much of a hot, humid summer right under that. So surprisingly, how warm that gets. And remember, it's only got one setting. So that one there, I think, it's even if it's 16 degrees, 17, whatever it is now, with a slight westerly cool breeze blowing to me, too warm for me. So it'll be interesting to see how it works on those days it gets down to 5 degrees or even lower. That's going to be the big test. So, and sure, when that happens, I'm going to film all about it and let you know. So guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. But I don't know, I'm a bit of a tongue twister today. This is crazy. I just can't get the words out today. Maybe I need a nice cool drink. In fact, I've got some really nice Bundy brewed sarsaparilla in there I've been saving, and I think I might just grab one as soon as I finish filming this and enjoy it. So please like and subscribe, helps my channel enormously. And till next time, as always, be kind to everyone, look after yourself, go enjoy yourself, go camping, and see you next time. Bye.